I've tried to condense 15 days of writing and over 7 hours of video into this hour and a half. It would be best to shoot everything, because everything was wonderful, but unfortunately that is not possible. It's best to experience it yourself. Please excuse the spoken word style in advance. Since my voice in English is not good enough for listening, I used modern technology and let AI read my texts. So let's begin. It is Friday, June 9th, 2023, and we are planning to drive 16 days through Poland and Sweden to Norway and back. Our journey begins in the Beskidy Mountains and the route leads through the Jasenice Mountains. We stop in Karlova Studenka to see our neighbor Ludek, who is here in the spa.
Nazdar!
We will be 3. But Lucas and we have a meeting in Poland at a camp near Legnica, because he is from the Bohemia and it is much closer. The first rain meets us right after the border, but fortunately only for about 30 kilometers, and then it gets nice again. Camping in Kunis in Poland and our first overnight stay. The camp pleasantly surprised us with the price. From there we will travel in 3s. The second day we have a 400 kilometers highway transfer to Swinoujscie for the ferry. The only point of interest along the way is the statue of Jesus. The ferry to Istad doesn't leave until 10:30 p.m. We have a lot of time on the beach in Międzyzdrój. The ferry. A huge colossus, where just the passage of 2 decks during boarding takes a long time. We have only bought folding seats and following the example of the others, we each occupy an entire row for ourselves, so we can sleep temporarily. The cruise lasts 8 hours, so we have 1 overnight stay taken care of. Just outside Ystad, we visit the large stone circle of Al-Esh-Steiner. The stones were to serve as a solar calendar. Malmo and the bridge to Denmark. Then another 600 kilometers transfer on the highway in the direction of Norway. This part is divided into 2 days, so we sleep under the sun at one beach with a beautiful sunset.
Byl ve vodě. Už si namočil trvalou.
It's another day and we have a trip over the bridge in Göteborg, which looks like the Golden Gate in San Francisco, and then a visit to the rock carvings in Tannenst. One of the engravings is also depicted on a Swedish banknote. We spend our first night in Norway outside the mountains, just below Oslo. We are by the water, but unfortunately there is no access into it. since we were already nearby, it would be a shame to miss the capital of Norway, Oslo. That's why the road leads through it, and we only stop in one place. Otherwise, it is just a quick pass towards the mountain. But before we get to the mountains, we have a few interesting things planned. The first is the Spiralen Tunnel in Drammen. This is a road to the viewpoint over the city. The tunnel is in the shape of a spiral, which is twisted 6 times. Rock of the Kroning I have at Kings. A rock in which the coats of arms of the Norwegian kings are engraved from 1624 to the present day. Hedelstakirke, the largest columned wooden church in Norway from the 12th century. They just painted it. We were supposed to join Road 450, which leads through the mountains and has the most beautiful views. Unfortunately, right at the beginning, the road is closed and we have to get to Dalen elsewhere. We therefore drive along Road 3406, which, as we immediately discovered, is entirely gravel. In addition, a new, fresh, loose, 10-centimeter layer of gravel is applied here, in which there are rutted car tracks. This part of the journey was the most demanding during the entire trip. For the whole 13 kilometers, we ride really slowly, because the wheels were sliding into ruts. Fortunately, no one fell and we successfully reached Dallin. There we found a nice spot by the river and were able to clean our bodies and some of our clothes, which after a few days already needed washing. Beer is expensive here. 6 pieces of beer for 22 euros. The first climb up a bigger hill along Road 450, which is again closed after 20 kilometers. We went after this road anyway and we don't regret it. Even though we had to come back, the views were worth it. We take a detour through the town of Hockley, and from there on road number 9. But this time the detour was worth it, and we got wonderful views of the snow-capped mountains in the distance. Here we are again on road 450, which leads even higher, and we are driving through snow for the first time. Even though there is snow around, the air temperature is very pleasant. I finally got what I expected from Norway. I'm really excited, I'm enjoying the ride and I'm smiling happily in my helmet. It's a beautiful landscape and that's exactly why I went here. The magnificence, dimensions and depth of this place cannot be described in words. Neither photos nor video can replace that feeling. You have to experience this for yourself. Here we are approaching the target of the journey, Lysbotn. Lysbotn and the fjord below was the first photo I saw of Norway, and I just wanted to see it sometime. For now, we're on the hill above it, and we have a long and winding descent down. we're down at the end of the road. Well, isn't it beautiful? According to the timetable of the ferry, we read that you need to register in advance. We look at the website and find that the next 2 days are fully booked. Tomorrow, we have no choice but to go back about 30 kilometers and then go around the fjord for 130 kilometers again on Route 450. We were caught in the rain at the campsite while setting up the tents, but it quickly passed and it became nice again. Our plan was to sleep as much as possible in nature, then some campsites and accommodation only in case of emergency. In total, we slept 4 times in the camp and otherwise wildly. We used the toilet at gas stations, campsites, or shopping centers. I changed for 500 Norwegian and 500 Swedish kroner at the beginning of the trip, but I didn't need cash the whole time. You could pay by card everywhere. Michael's blinkers stopped working. There was water in the electricity. After drying, everything works as it should. The detour around the fjord does cost us a few extra kilometers, but it takes the same amount of time as a boat trip, and we also have a nice passage through a valley between high hills. We reach the west coast to the city of Stavanger, and here we stop at the Sverdøyfjell monument. From there we drive through a tunnel under the sea, and at a snack we meet a lady from Slovakia who lives in Norway. She called me because she saw that I was eating her alka. We don't even know how we found ourselves on a ferry. We just suddenly entered the ship from the road and immediately sailed. But we were all already registered in advance for the interstate ferries, so it was enough just to get on board and not have to deal with anything. That is, except for my motorcycle, because I have a license plate on request, and it is then listed elsewhere in their system. So on this first ferry we talked for a while that he wanted me to pay, and I said him, I'm properly registered. In the end he found it, and I already knew at the next ferries. The first big waterfalls. We didn't know they were the smallest yet. I generally enjoyed the passage through Norway, that in one day you were several times at sea level in a fjord and several times high in the mountains. This happened maybe 3 or 4 times in a day. And of course, all this cannot be done without winding ascents and descents. In addition, the landscape and the views. Just great. Beautiful blue water. This road is now replaced by a tunnel due to heavy traffic, but tell yourself, wouldn't it be a shame to skip it? A pair of massive waterfalls facing each other. You can totally feel the energy from that water. Just walking down the path past them would get you drenched. The roads around the edges of the fjords are always nice everywhere. Winding, and you drive right next to the water. It is something like in the Alpines, only many times more spectacular. roundabout in the tunnel. And not only that it is a rarity for us, but also that the tunnel opens onto a bridge, which in turn leads right into another tunnel, where there is a second roundabout. This time we looked for a place to sleep quite late, until sometime around 10 o'clock in the evening. Fortunately, it's still light here in the north. Although we are not near the Arctic Circle, there is light here. For example, this tent setting is filmed about an hour before midnight. The sun and the mountains show us a wonderful play of shadows here. a road that passes over a 30 kilometers tunnel. Not only is there a breathtaking footbridge with a lookout point, but there is also a passage through the mountains. I enjoy every bit of the road in the mountains immensely. And again down from the mountains by the fjord. And of course, swimming must not be missed. glacier. I did not expect that we would drive so close and that it would be possible to stop under it. Several times we meet cattle just running freely without fences. It calmly grazes right next to the road, or simply walks along the road. Here we have a funny story. We stopped to sleep in a place marked on the map as a campsite. No sign or phone anywhere. Just nothing. We therefore asked the gentleman in the caravan next to us if we have to pay here. He says yes, that it can be bought in the store across the street. That's why we go to the store to buy a place to stay. At night, however, some guy comes to us saying that he wants to pay, that the store is buying a place next to the store, and here it is his. Well, since he wants us many times more money than the store, we are moving across the bridge opposite. And since we already had beer, we carry everything by hand and push the motorbikes. Apparently it's between the owner of the place and the shop on the daily agenda. A little fight of sorts. But I think that the problem is on the owner's side, because there is no information posted anywhere. What more to add? Just a joke.
Do lewa, hezky.
an active ski resort, and then a perfect 13-kilometer stretch of gravel. This time, however, the road is well trodden and straight, so you can drive along it quite briskly. As soon as we leave the gravel, we climb even higher into the mountains with more breathtaking views. On the way down to the fjord, we have a view of a bay with a large cruise ship. But everywhere is full of caravans and the journey down takes quite a long time. It's strange how far caravans can go and how far they can stretch. Some sort of reunion of veterans. In general, we met a lot of preserved veterans in Norway and Sweden.
Tohle není ten trajekt, to je ten zoofánský ten.
This is already the fourth ascent to the mountains today. And after a while, the most amazing waterfall on the Troll Trail. Trollstigen. They have made a nice lookout here from several places, and in addition, the path leads down around the waterfall. We got wet and drenched. Because we didn't estimate the strength of the rain, and didn't put on raincoats. On the last day in Norway, we had a rather boring journey away from the mountains. The destination for today was the old mining town of Røros. Sweden for the second time. Large, vast, and endless forests. This is how I would describe this part of Sweden. Fortunately, one path saved it. Nice asphalt, winding, hilly. Every motorcyclist's heart would be surely happy here. Rain again, but this time we put on raincoats. It was enough for us last time. And Lucas has a lot of fun watching Michael and his struggle with putting on raincoats. Nice place to sleep without a tent. It's by the water and under a shelter. What could get in the way? Mosquitoes. The endless waves of attacks forced us to build at least the basic layer of the tent without a waterproof jacket. Just the mesh. And of course it started raining in the morning. So we got up at 4 in the morning and hit the road. Stockholm. Just passing through again, because it would be a shame to miss it while we're here. The ABBA Museum. The large building of the Nordic Museum. Nordiska Museet. During the entire trip, we did not take part in any tours, because this trip is all about nature and travel. There was neither time nor desire for any visits and tours. Because the price for camping in these places, we choose to sleep again without a tent. And we are wrong again. Mosquitoes again. We are probably unteachable. All gas stations in Norway and Sweden are unattended. This means that you insert a payment card and then just fill up. Often there was nothing but a stand at the gas stations. The former affiliate stores were closed and abandoned. Short rain. We don't put on waterproofs and after a while we continue again. This time we sleep in the camp. It's cheap, nice and right by the sea. The sea is beautifully rough after the previous rain, and we enjoy bigger waves. It is shallow and warm. It's such a nice farewell to Sweden after we suffered the previous nights because of the mosquitoes. Today we only have a few kilometers left to Ystad. We take the ferry at 4:30 p.m. because the night cruise was already booked. Unfortunately, there is no other way and the planned arrival is at midnight. The ferry is smaller than the first one, so there is nowhere to sleep properly. We arrive in Poland earlier. At around 11 p.m. we leave the ferry, and we have a night journey across Poland. We decided to drive it all the way home in one go, because a storm is coming from Germany. Unfortunately, it caught us on the highway at around 1 o'clock in the morning, so we hid in a shelter at the rest stop by the pump for about 2 hours, because we can't see anything on the road. I tried to sleep at least for a while, but the wind was blowing, it was raining, we were wet, so it wasn't very possible. When the rain stopped and dawn began, we continued our journey. Finally, in the south of Poland, it became brighter and the sun came out. So we arrived home sometime around 2 p.m. That means 31 hours on the road. We were tired, but we arrived home a day earlier than planned because we missed one sleepover in Poland. Overall, the trip to Scandinavia was a success and I rated very positively. Except for the rain last day in Poland, it was warm and nice. I don't count the few smaller showers along the way. It was always just a short shower that wasn't really worth mentioning. Norway is simply gorgeous and I recommend everyone to visit it sometime. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it seemed long, believe me, it couldn't be shorter, because there were so many nice places that I wanted to show you. So many experiences.